My name is V, and now it's time for me to share my quiet time. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Fruitful Friday, woo! Where I share my quiet time nuggets with y'all. Another Fruitful Friday, another hair change. Expect me not to go 3 weeks, a month even, without changing my hair. That's just how it is. But good morning. I hope everybody's doing really well this morning on this lovely Friday morning. Okay, hopefully you're watching this on the Friday that it uploads, but if you're not, good morning to you all the same. Hopefully by now you guys have seen my San Luis Obispo vlog. That is if I edited it and uploaded it in time. It's been like 3 weeks. I'm so sorry. But let's go ahead and hop right into today's Fruitful Friday. In today's Fruitful Friday, we're going to be reading a large chunk of text today. We're going to be in Luke, that's Nugabokum, chapter 1, verses 5 through 18. And this is the beginning or a huge part of the story of how John the Baptist was born. So let's hop into it. In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. Both of them were righteous in the sight of the Lord, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. Okay, so enter Zechariah and Elizabeth, woo, our main characters. And Elizabeth, unfortunately, she is childless and she is barren. And what I read for you was the NIV version. I'll have the MSG version on the screen, the message version. But when I read the message version for my quiet time, I noticed that it said that the two were careful in keeping God's commandments and they enjoyed a clear conscience. So it's when you enjoy something, that means you're having fun with it. That means that it's something that you are happy doing. You're happy. And so what I got from that is when you're living in the light and you're free from sin, your conscience is clear. You're enjoying that. You get to partake in a clear conscience. There's nothing wrong. So let's continue reading and see why that little bit of text was important. Once when Zechariah's division was on duty and he was serving as priest before God, he was chosen by lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time came for burning of incense, all the assembled worshipers were praying outside. Then the angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and was gripped with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to call him John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be a great sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he is born, who will bring back many of the people of Israel to the Lord their God. And he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the parents to their children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." Zechariah asked the angel, "How can I be sure of this? I'm an old man and my wife is well along in years." So that was a lot, but we understand now why the fact that Elizabeth was childless and barren was important. But let's back up and go over the beginning portion of this text. So Zechariah went to go and do his priestly things. He was part of the lineage that was allowed to be priests, the line of Aaron. And it was today was his day to finally go inside the tent of meeting and burn incense. Like, this was a once in a lifetime experience because, just for background knowledge, there were so many of them, so many priests, and there could only be one priest who did the burning of the incense. There would be a setup crew and then an evening cleanup crew, and those are the same people, but there's only one priest who did that, a burning of the incense. And since there were so many of them, they had to cast lots to see, okay, who's gonna do it today? And it would probably be a once in a lifetime experience because there was so many and that it was randomized. So today was his day. It was his special day. He was like, okay, I'm gonna go aside. I'm ready. Okay, anything y'all wanna tell me? Any advice? Like, he was excited, okay? And when he goes inside to burn that incense, an angel appears to him and he freaks out. He's scared, like everybody else that an angel appears to. They're like, be not afraid, like don't. they're afraid, always. So something interesting that I got out of it is that the opportunity to serve may only come once. We might only get one opportunity to serve in a certain way. Not everything or anyone is promised a second chance, and that's up to God to decide. So if we get a chance to serve, if we're given a task, if we're given a responsibility, we got to make sure to do it right the first time. We might not get a second chance. This might be a time of testing where it's like, okay, can you take on this responsibility? Is this something that you have the heart to do? Is this something that you have the character to carry out excellently? Something else that I noticed that was interesting when I did further research is that the incense was burned every morning and night. And there's a song that we sing that's called Let Our Voices Rise Like Incense. And so I was thinking, it's like, okay, we're called to let our voices and our praises rise like incense. The incense was that offering to God, that sweet aroma, right? And so what I got out of that is that worship and prayer is so important. So we got to be making sure to always be worshiping, like morning and night. There's not one set time to worship God. Like that's a constant thing. So I found that interesting. Okay, so back to the angel. This angel appears unannounced and he tells Zechariah about the son he's gonna have. So this is actually how we find out, this little passage that the angel was telling Zechariah, this is how we find out that Zechariah and Elizabeth were gonna be John the Baptist's parents. And Zechariah does not believe this angel. He's like, dude, I'm old, my wife is old. Like, he had no faith. And I was thinking about it, and it's not that they didn't believe in God, it was their circumstances and the reality of what they saw that caused their eyes to kind of be fogged over to what God could do in this situation. Because for them, Zechariah, he was like, this is probably something that he'd been praying for a while. But once the time came and the prayer hadn't been answered in the time that he had thought that it would be, the time that he had set, he was like, okay, this isn't happening. So I'm going to stop praying for it. It's not going to happen. Forget it. And we can do that too sometimes. We can forget that God is God and we're not. And even though we might set a time limit on certain things, God can do whatever he wants. He could literally if he wished for it to be the case, we could live until 140 and have a kid then. That's something that's not up to us to decide. And sometimes we can forget that. I can forget that for sure. I can place a lot of limits on okay, I want this thing to happen within this time. If it doesn't happen, all right, well, I'm just going to forget about that. But we don't know what God's plan for our lives is. We just got to, Matthew 6:33, we got to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else will be taken care of. And you might be thinking, Nana, there's just so much going on. I don't know what the plan for my life is. Is there a plan? Is there anything good that's about to happen in my life ever? Well, if that's you, I want to encourage you. Here's my Instagram. Reach out and I'll get you squared away with a Bible study, and someone can sit down with you and show you that there is a plan for your life. You just got to seek God for it. Well, that's all we got for Fruitful Friday today, and to God be all the glory.